Hey guys, it's Natalie and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be making some beautiful Dollar Tree fall decor for our home. So let's jump on in and get crafting. Our first project is the Raffia Farmhouse Pumpkin. You're going to need one pumpkin frame, crafter's square jute cord, wired jute cord, natural raffia in the fall colors. For this project we'll be using the color orange, a few leaves, glue gun, glue sticks, and scissors. We're going to start with our frame, and you guessed it, that jute cord. What we're going to do with the jute is we're going to wrap it around the entire frame. So you're going to flip it to the back, add a little bit of hot glue to one of the corners, anchor the jute, and we're just going to wrap it. I find it easier to cut the jute in shorter lengths, so this way you have better control and it doesn't get tangled or unraveled. And like I said before in my previous projects, you don't have to continually add glue. Just make sure you have a good hold with one hand while you're wrapping it with the other. So you're going to continue to wrap it until you get to the stem. Now with the stem, what I did was I wrapped the jute around and through, making sure you hold it around and through. When you continue to do it, it's going to look like this. When you get to the end, you're just going to add a little bit of hot glue to the top and secure the jute. Then you're going to flip it to the back and secure the end. I use a scissor just to hold it down. Now we're going to take our orange raffia and we're going to use one strand at a time. I started at the corner and then I glued it right to the back, and then you're going to flip it to the front, and we're going to do the same kind of pattern that we did for the stem. We're going to go around and through. But this time we're just going to give a little bit of a space in between the wrapping. About 1/4 of an inch, just eyeball it, and you can see how it looks. If I can get my words out. But this is what we're going to be doing, around and through. Making sure you also hold the raffia flat. When you get to the end, you want to glue it towards the back. So you're going to add a little bit of hot glue, secure that. Then you're going to cut off the excess. And then you're going to take your next strand and you're going to glue that right to the back where you left off. This way, when you continue to wrap, it looks like one piece. I don't know why I can't get my words out today, guys. I'm sorry. I did want to take the time out, though, to thank everybody that has reached out and has asked about my son. He is doing so much better, and I love each and every one of you for caring like you do. So after we anchor the next section of raffia, I did end up gluing the other end to make it form a needle, or like a needle. This makes it easier to thread through the spaces of the prior section. So you're just going to repeat the process, making sure you leave a little bit of a space, and you just thread it through and continue the pattern. So it's going to look like this, and that's pretty much what you got to do for the entire pumpkin. So we're going to repeat this pattern for every section of our pumpkin until it's all completed. I then took my wired jute and a pencil and I just wrapped the wired jute around it several times to form the trendles of our pumpkin. But I will say that you should glue the beginnings of this wire jute because it does unravel and it looks like that. So to prevent it, just make sure you glue the beginnings and the ends so it doesn't, it looks like this and not like this. We're now going to take our pumpkin and we're going to then flip it to the back. And I made 3 of the trundles and I just glued them to the back of the stem. I just glued one on one side, and I like using the scissors to hold it down because it does glue it a lot faster, if I can get my words out. and not having to burn your fingers if you don't have one of those little silicone applicators. The scissors work great too. I took just a little piece of the wired ribbon and I added more hot glue to the back. This way it just secures everything that we glued so it doesn't come apart. Now I flipped it to the front and I just curved my little trundles. And then now I'm going to take the leaves. I took the ones that look a little burlappy, if that's even a word. And then I just glued 2 of them to the top. And we're all done with our first project. I love the color, the texture. I love how farmhouse it looks. And with just a few Dollar Tree items, you have a beautiful raffia farmhouse pumpkin. On to our last project, which is the Welcome Fall Wreath. I used 1 wired wreath frame. I got this in tan. A hula skirt. 3 pumpkin wooden ornaments. A galvanized welcome sign. Paint colors in ink, cashew, orange, and green. Paint brushes. Wired burlap ribbon in orange and green. Some fall leaves. DAP all-purpose adhesive, glue gun, glue sticks, and scissors. We're going to start with our hula skirt. I really love this hula skirt. I've used it in several projects. I just cut off the string and then I removed 1 piece of the hula skirt at a time. It's actually 2 strands. You're going to just take that apart. And we're going to take our wired frame. I really scored when I saw this in the tan. I loved it. I then took the 2 strands that I removed from my hula skirt and I'm going to loop it through the inner part of the frame just like it was in the skirt. Then we're going to take our piece and we're going to weave it in and out of the other sections of the frame. Then you're going to flip that to the back. And then we're going to weave it in the opposite direction. If you guys are newbies to my channel and you like what you see, I really hope you hit that little subscribe button. It is really helping my little channel grow and I cannot thank you guys enough. And please leave your comments. I love all of your comments. You guys are just so great. And like I thanked you before about inquiring about my son, it truly meant a lot to me and I missed you guys and I'm so glad to be back. So we're going to continue to weave the raffia in and out. And this is what the pattern is going to look like. So when you get to the end, you're going to then flip it to the back, add a little bit of hot glue and secure that piece, cutting off any excess. You're now going to flip it back to the front and we're going to repeat the process, taking another piece of the double raffia and we're going to loop it through in the inner frame. And then, like I said before, we're just going to repeat the weave with the second piece and just continue it. When you get to the brace, you're going to take your extra piece of raffia and you're going to wrap it around, covering the brace. You're then going to flip it to the back add a little bit of hot glue, secure it, and cut off the excess. This is one completed section of the frame, and you're just going to repeat that till you complete the entire frame. And again, the magic of editing. But as you complete it, this is what it's going to look like. We're now going to address our little wooden pumpkin ornaments, and I used the Waverly chalk paint in cashew and the apple barrel in the orange, and I just mixed the colors together just to mute it a little bit. But of course you can use whatever color you desire. I just wanted it to give it a more of a creamy orangey color as a base. So you're going to do that for all 3 of the pumpkins. And now we're going to take those same colors again, and I just kind of eyeballed it and mixed it. But what we're doing now is we're going to be painting what would be the little bumps of our pumpkin. So I just went back and forth with a lighter color and a darker color, and I just kind of eyeballed it and shaded it. So this way it would give the illusion of the bumps in our pumpkins. Now I know on the video it's kind of hard to see the shading, but once the paint dries, you'll get to see the effects. Now I'm no artist by any stretch of the word, but I just do the best I can. And if I don't like how it looks, then that's the beauty of paint. You just paint right on over it. So now once those were dry, we're going to address the little stem of our pumpkins. And I just took the apple barrel in a shade of green, and I painted the stem, and I just kind of painted the bottoms to make it look like the stem of the pumpkin. Now that they're all dry, I made 3 little raffia bows that I'm going to glue to the stem of each one of our little pumpkins. I really do like using the word little describing these pumpkins, don't I? I then took 2 of the pumpkins and I angled them. And I took the center pumpkin and put a little bit of glue on the back of either side, and I glued it just a little bit higher. Now just make sure when you do glue them together that they are wide enough so that you're able to glue those pumpkins onto our frame, onto our galvanized welcome word or sign, or however you want to call it. I really do love them, but I wanted to tune down the shine. So I used the Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and I just lightly stippled the black ink on top of the word. Like I said, just to tune down the shine and also to make the welcome sign pop when we do glue it onto our pumpkins. So now I'm going to use my favorite all-purpose adhesive on this word. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when you do use the hot glue, it does tend to cool rather fast because it's metal. So this would be a perfect application to use that all-purpose adhesive. So we're then going to center our word right across our 3 pumpkins. So we're now going to take our wreath and our little pumpkins, and we're going to flip it to the back and add a little bit of hot glue to either side, and then glue that right onto the wreath. We're then going to flip the wreath to the back, and then I just reinforced either side by adding a little bit more hot glue. I then took the orange wired ribbon, and we're going to then loop the ribbon, I want to say about 8 inches, and I continued to loop it until I had 3 loops on either side, and then I just turned it around to the back and just cut that off. I then took the green and I made 2 loops on either side. This time I looped it about 10 inches, and then I cut off the excess of that ribbon. I then pinched it in the middle and then took a piece of raffia. You can use the pipe cleaners if you wanted to, but I just like using the raffia, and I just looped it around a few times to secure the center, flipped it to the back, and then just made a double knot just to secure the ribbon. And then I just cut off the excess. Now I flipped it to the front, and this is where we start fluffing our loops. Now again, I'm not a bow maker, I just do the best I can, but I just fluffed them until I liked what I saw. For this project, we're going to be making 2 of them. Now we're going to take our wreath, and we're going to take one of our bows, and I put a little bit of glue to the back, and I glued it right on to the upper left part of the wreath. Then I took the second bow that I made and I glued it to the bottom right of the wreath. Now we're going to take our leaves, and what I did was I just strategically placed them on either side of where our bows ended. You can use any color leaves you you'd like, but I just end up taking the ones that kind of matched more of the colors that I used for this wreath. Again, very difficult to talk, and I just can't figure out why. But you can see what I'm doing here. So you're going to glue them on either side. I did make a little jute hanger that I glued to the back. Sorry I didn't have the footage, guys. And our wreath is all done. In this lighting, you can at least see the shading that we did for our little pumpkins. I love the color. I really loved how it turned out. And using a few Dollar Tree items, you can really make something beautiful for your home. Thanks for being here with me today, guys. It really does mean a lot. Don't forget, you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nathalie Creates Crafts. If you're new, please don't forget to subscribe so that this way we'll be seeing each other next time. Until then, happy crafting, God bless, and take care.